Going to space is a dream most people never think can come true, yet there are few who have done it. Today we look at what to do if things go awry and you are stranded in space. Maybe it'll help you. Either way, it's an awesome movie. Hello, quick recaps here. Join us as we explore the 2013 movie called Gravity. This video contains spoilers. Space is approximately 600 kilometers from Earth, and there is no pressure or oxygen, so life there is impossible. The Space Shuttle Explorer, commanded by veteran astronaut Matt Kowalski, is on Earth's orbit, sent on a mission to service the Hubble Space Telescope. Dr. Ryan Stone is aboard on her first space mission to perform a set of hardware upgrades on the Hubble. Initially, everything is going on perfectly, and the crew is exchanging light, friendly banter. Communications with Mission Control in Houston are in check, and the team is almost finalizing their repair work. Suddenly, the group is informed of a cloud of space debris accidentally caused by the Russians. The Russians had shot down a presumed defunct spy satellite. Mission Control tells the crew to proceed with caution. Matt reveals that he has a bad feeling about the mission, but the others dismiss it as paranoia. This is soon confirmed positive because a few minutes later, Mission Control orders the group to abort the mission and return to Earth immediately. It turns out the cloud of space debris is rapidly expanding and has knocked down major communication satellites. It is traveling at the speed of a bullet, so Mission Control tells the crew that communications would die soon. Ryan wants to finish up her repair work, but Matt realizes time is of the essence. The two lose a few seconds of precious time. Indeed, communication channels are cut and the team is left in the dark. The high-speed debris soon strikes the Explorer and the Hubble, ripping most of it apart. It also kills a crew member and tears Ryan from the shuttle. She starts tumbling through space and her communication is jammed. Ryan suffers a panic attack, and as she is tumbling down, her oxygen levels are decreasing. She tries to communicate with Matt or the Earth to no avail. She drifts away in despair. But then, Matt's voice comes through like a fresh breath, asking her to try and identify anything that could give away her location. Matt, using a manned maneuvering unit, manages to trace Ryan and save her. He attaches himself to her, ensuring they don't drift further apart. Ryan is so grateful, and after a few pulls and throws, the two fall into a peaceful harmony. The two want to save another astronaut, but this causes the two to lose sync, and they decide to let the poor man go. The astronaut had been hit by debris on his face, tearing through his helmet and face. The two return to the Explorer and discover the shuttle has suffered catastrophic damage. The rest of the crew is dead and floating away into oblivion. Ryan and Matt decide to use the MMU to reach the International Space Station, ISS, which is about 900 miles away. Matt realizes they have about 90 minutes before the debris completes an orbit and strikes again. On their way to the ISS, Matt tries to keep Ryan alert by asking her questions about her personal life. This way, she'll focus on something else instead of the dwindling oxygen levels. Some song plays and Matt asks Ryan what her normal schedule is after she leaves the hospital. Ryan says she gets in the car and drives while listening to the radio, whichever station is on. Matt wants to know more about this and why she seems to have a driving fascination. Ryan reveals she had a daughter. One day in school, her daughter was playing a game of tag when she slipped and hit her head, dying instantly. Ever since, Ryan has lived her life in isolation, taking solace in driving. This is because when she learned of her daughter's death, she was driving. Maybe she hopes that in driving, she doesn't need to face the reality of what's happened. As the two approach the ISS station, they see the crew is evacuated using one of its Soyuz spacecraft. The remaining craft exhibits damage, with its parachute having been deployed in space, rendering it unable to return to Earth. Matt suggests they use the craft to travel to the nearby China Tiangong space station, 60 miles away. Hopefully, they can board the Shenzhou spacecraft and return safely to Earth. Matt is almost out of maneuvering fuel, so he manages to get as close as he can to the station so they can lurch it with the little fuel left. Unfortunately, the two cannot get a good grasp of the station, and their tether snaps on one of the station's solar panels. Ryan's leg gets tethered in the parachute cords, and she manages to grasp the tether holding Matt. The two realize the cords cannot support the both of them, and Matt tells Ryan she has to let him go. Matt also reveals that it was not Ryan's fault that the debris struck. There was nothing she could have done either way. Ryan refuses, and Matt detaches himself from the tether so he can save her from drifting away with him. Ryan is pulled back to the ISS and watches in desperation as Matt floats away. However, Matt is not done with Ryan yet, and he skillfully guides her until she enters the station. Ryan enters the station quickly, not ready to give up on Matt yet. Unfortunately, she cannot re-establish communication with Matt or Earth. However, she keeps calling and giving updates since Matt had told her that they can never know if someone is listening to them. She concludes she is now the sole survivor. Inside the station, a fire breaks out and spreads rapidly. Remember, there is oxygen in the station, so the impact is great. Ryan tries to put the fire out with an extinguisher to no avail. Ryan manages to get in the Soyuz and maneuver it away from the ISS. It seems as though bad luck follows this woman as the tangled parachute tethers snag. This prevents the spacecraft from leaving. Ryan tries all she can, but the parachute won't let go, having been made of very strong fabric. Frustrated, Ryan almost gives up until she realizes she can physically cut the cables. She spacewalks to cut the annoying cables. After a few attempts, she realizes, with horror, that the space debris is about to strike. She hurries quickly and succeeds just in time as the debris catches up to her. The debris destroys most of the ISS and manages to spare the Soyuz. Ryan has a close shave when she latches to the Soyuz, narrowly avoiding the debris. When Ryan re-enters the Soyuz, she angles it towards the Tiangong, but soon discovers the engine has no fuel. Ryan attempts to communicate with Inuk on Earth, but is unsuccessful. The man on the radio speaks a foreign language, makes a dog and wolf sound, and eventually starts singing a lullaby to a kid. Ryan tries again to communicate with the man, but when that doesn't work, she starts imitating what the man is doing. She starts letting out dog and wolf sounds, and when the baby cries, her heart cries out to her daughter. Ryan resigns to her fate, knowing she would die, and leaves one last message. She decides to take charge of her situation and shuts down the cabin's oxygen supply to commit suicide. As she starts losing consciousness, a loud banging is heard from the door, and it opens. Matt enters the capsule, looking safe and sound. Matt chides Ryan for giving up, saying while it may seem easier to let go, she still has something to live for and a story to complete. Ryan tells Matt that she has tried everything possible to make the Soyuz work. Matt tells her to rig the Soyuz soft landing rockets as this will propel the capsule towards Tiangong. Ryan is a little hesitant as she believes the rockets will only apply on Earth. Suddenly, Matt disappears and Ryan realizes Matt was a hallucination. Fueled with energy, she shuts off the depreciating oxygen levels and decides to follow Matt's advice. She rigs the soft landing rockets and angles the capsule towards Tiangong. Before she departs, she talks to Matt, telling him to say hello to her daughter Sarah and tell her she never gave up. She also gives thanks to him for the time they've shared and his role in saving her and for not giving up on her. It is with the same positive attitude that Ryan tries to land with at Tiangong. Like the trend this movie seems to follow, Ryan can't dock at the Tiangong, so she expels herself from the Soyuz. She uses a fire extinguisher as a makeshift thruster to travel to the rapidly deorbiting Tiangong. If she doesn't hurry and enters the atmosphere with the station, we can tell this brave astronaut goodbye. Ryan manages to enter the Shenzhou capsule seconds before the station enters the atmosphere. Though most of the commands are in Chinese, she plays quick guesswork trying to disintegrate it. Before doing so, she sends one last message to Earth as she knows there are only two possible actions: to live or die. Ryan claims that whichever way she ends up, there's no harm, no foul. Either way, she has a great story to tell, or if she dies, then she never gave up. That sure is a good way to go. As soon as the station enters the Earth's atmosphere, it starts malfunctioning and catching fire, leaving behind burning debris. The capsule re-enters the atmosphere and detaches its parachute. Since it has sustained quite a large amount of damage during its descent, it lands in the lake. Ryan tries to get out, but water rushes into the capsule and it starts sinking. As she was descending, various communication satellites had picked her up on the radar. One communication center from Houston informs Ryan that she had been tracked on radar and rescue crews were on their way. Ryan manages to exit the capsule, thank God she can swim. She removes her suit and holds her breath until water fills the capsule. This allows her to swim through, and she resurfaces. As she floats, she looks up and can see various debris pieces falling into the earth, reminding her of what she had just gone through. She swims to the shore and lays on the ground, happy to experience gravity. She is thankful for having made it back home as she looks at the vast green earth. There's nowhere she would rather be. Even in the gloomiest of moments, a little spark is enough to keep you going. Will you venture to space soon? And do you think you can come back to Earth? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, but wait. What would you do if you realized your existence and the world as you know it is fake? What happens if we're in a video game and some guy is out there playing it as if we're characters in it? Check out this movie, Free Guy. Also, subscribe to the channel for more recaps of your favorite movies.